My name is Max Stryker. I'm a detective inspector with the Draft League Police Department. Or, well, I certainly used to be. Don't know if I can call myself that anymore. Draft League City is dirty, dangerous, and rotten to the core, but it's home. Now, I studied at an academy far away, learning from some of the best until I became one of the best. Investigation, stealth, interrogation, and intelligence gathering. I was leagues ahead in them all. Aside from those years overseas, I've spent my whole life in this city. But all that changed a week ago. See, battling is everything here. And with my skill set, I was placed in charge of making sure things didn't get out of hand. When the Pokémon Premier League resurfaced, all kinds of shit came with it that we weren't prepared for. People messing with hacks and fate, summoning alter egos from God knows where, and power struggles that threatened to rock the foundations of this place. And hell, you know what? I did my best. I backed Shroomraver to help us stay in control when criminals and scum came a-calling, forming an alliance born out of initial suspicion. But there was only so much he could do. With him out of the latest competition, the current powers were going to be under attack. The mayor wasn't safe anymore, so I put in the call to get him out of the city and into a safe house. Sir, I'm afraid it's a code red. No, this is not a drill. I'm afraid the worst has happened. I would prepare yourself to be moving immediately. And now, it's my time to take my leave. With nobody in control, things are about to get wild in Draft League City, and there ain't a damn thing I can do about it on my own. The DLPD is gone. Battling is gonna get crazy. There ain't gonna be any more rules. And I gotta rely on the few good people left to bring back some kind of stability. I'll be following Coach Shroom's progress from afar. I hate to say it, but unless he can find some allies in this new world, he's on his own. But y'all better keep an eye out, because I'll be back one day. Until then, this is Detective Inspector Max Stryker, signing off. Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and today I'm just going to do a little sort of end of PPL sort of summary video. Yes indeed, the season has been over for a little bit, I've been a little bit delayed with a few things going on, and I just wanted to sort of briefly talk about the team and thank a lot of people for all the stuff that's going on this season. So, as you know, we managed to reach playoffs with a little bit of luck, you know, a lot of luck, let's be honest. I got lucky a lot this season. It happens. We were able to take advantage and make our way to playoffs where we lost out in the quarterfinals. But it was a good run with a kind of team that I'm not really used to using. You know, this is a new meta for me to adapt to after a long time out, obviously. And going in with very hyper offense was something that I hadn't really done before. And it worked out okay, you know, there were some winners, there were some losers. Stuff like Greninja started the season strong. I've got some stats on screen for the team. One of 3 teams overall that didn't change at all throughout the entire season. But yeah, stuff like Greninja started the season strong. You had ones like Mew that had to be more defensive and came into its own at the end, back half of the season, as did the likes of Rotom Fan. Ogerpon, nice and consistent, 7 games, 7 KOs, 7 deaths. We love to see that. Stuff like Grimsnarl, which I use mostly offensively, was quite fun. I think people were kind of expecting Grimsnarl Orthworm to be coming a lot and using screens and Shedtail, but I ran Grimsnarl most often offensive and Orthworm barely at all. People were very prepped for it. Chandelure, didn't get as much use as I'd like. Toxicroak was most often had to be used in like this weird niche defensive role, which it did okay. Sandaconda was pretty decent for the few times it came, but big season MVP, Haxorus. People said it was on Fraud Watch at the start of the season. Fucking showed them, didn't we? Came in 5th overall in the MVP race in a scene littered with high-class Terra Captains and S-tier picks. Haxorus, 13-5, came 5th overall in the MVP race. Super happy with how it performed. But yeah, I mean, I don't really want to go too much into the team itself. That's just a brief overview of how I felt about it. I really enjoyed using it. It was very fun to build with. Sometimes I had a bit too much of like, which of my offensive threats do I bring at the expense of using Grimsnarl and Orthworm, as I said, how I intended. But you know what? It worked out decent, and it was a very fun season and a very fun team to use. So 6-3 in the regular season, +8 diff. I'm pretty happy with that. But what I really wanted to do in this video was talk about some more behind the scenes stuff and shout out a whole bunch of people this season who really put a huge amount in to making the season work and to helping me personally. First off, as ever, Jack and Deli are commissioners. As ever, running a league is not easy. We know this. And there have been all sorts of technical and behind the scenes issues throughout PPL history that Jack and Deli have really worked very hard in getting over and making the season work, and once again they've done a stunning job. So you two, absolute MVPs for putting together such a great season once again. So yeah, those two, huge MVPs, love them to bits. Who else do we have? I want to give a shout out to the people who did the watch parties. You know, Joey, Nexus, Uzi. You guys know who they are. Putting on watch parties week in, week out, while still doing your guys' individual content, and in some cases helping me out with some stuff. We'll get onto that later. You guys are all top notch. I always tried to get along to as many watch parties as I could. If I couldn't, then I would come along and watch the VODs afterwards. But they were always great fun. Loved seeing your guys' reactions, and especially you three for pointing people in the direction of my page as well. You know, I have so much to thank you guys for, and it's a debt I don't think I can ever really truly repay. Because you three were absolutely hyping the shit out of my content and driving people towards it to see what they thought. And it has been such a massive, massive thing for me. I'm eternally grateful for the shouts you guys have given. And sort of leading on to that, other people I want to thank are a lot of you guys, you know. At the start of the season, we just breached over 1K subs, which was cool. Now we're sitting at just under 1,500, which is wild. I'm so thankful for all of you people for coming along, whether old watchers who are coming back, new people checking me out for the first time. It was really cool to see a bunch of like old faces from way back, sort of coming back, being interested in Draft League. People like Monochromium, people like Travesty. People like Fredo, who is now actually taking part in League again, which is cool. It's so awesome to see this mix of old and new people coming back. Especially to sort of the newer people who are checking me out and finding my content for the first time. And Joey, Nexus, and Uzi, I've got a lot of thank you for that for. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Then we have the people who helped out with team building. As ever, I have my council of people. Let's go through them really quick, shall we? Alex, Wanty Bayonet, KJ, Kaluaboom, Padel, Frank Trode, the Don Fanatic, Necro Stevo, and of course Ellie is a new addition to our council as well. We have a big group of people where we help each other build as much as possible. You know, even if we're in competition for spots, we still like to try and help each other out and throw ideas around it. It's always a great time. Two other people to thank in there for helping team building. Gray, Jack once again, really gave me a different kind of vision on how to team build and where I should be putting my focus. And towards the back half of the season, he had a big influence in some of my mons, and it really helped. So that was a huge boon for me to be able to have Jack helping me out. So all of those guys. The other person who helped out with my team building is someone that many of you won't know, and that is my friend Lynn. I'll talk a bit about her later because she she pops up somewhere else as well in this list of people I have to thank, but she is awesome, and her teams that she mock battles with me are terrifying, and I hate them. In the quarterfinals, Jack brought AV Lapras against me, and in the mock battle that my friend Lynn gave me, she brought Whirlpool Perish Trap Protect because she's evil. But all of you guys helping with team building, mock battling, all that stuff, I give you a lot of credit for helping me get to the point I got this season, so thank you all so very much. And the last group of people to thank is going to be the people who helped out with the storyline stuff. As you know, I love telling stories with Draft League, and this storyline kind of came around quite organically. You know, we had the last season of PPL, where we had a bit more of the weird sort of, well, the Bolton Flare, we had all the weird kind of alter ego hokum stuff. And then last season of PPL, we had the big bad of messing with hacks kind of stuff. And I wanted to move away from that a little bit. So the combination of Addison winning last season and then not taking part this season, which meant that the championship was vacant effectively, coupled with some of the names coming in, people like Joey, people like Mephisto especially, Nexus, all of those guys, Drew, so many like big names, and all the people returning as well. This kind of Mafia storyline came around very organically. It was almost tailor-made. I was like, this is perfect. There's a power struggle happening, and there's a whole bunch of people. There's more people than in most leagues. This is going to be great. We can work with this. And I wanted to move away from the kind of hokum stuff that we've explored before. And I know last season, I remember Chase used to do a lot of the watch parties, and we'd spoken, and he had said, like, you know, if you do more storylines in the future, hit me up. I'd love to take part in those stories. So Chase was the first person that I contacted about getting involved in my storylines. So we had him week 1 doing his kind of grey area, am I a good guy, am I a bad guy? I know stuff, but I'm not going to tell you. And he absolutely fucking nailed it. Loved working with Chase, gave him the script to work off, and he absolutely crushed it. Chase is just one of my favourite people, loving the bits. And it was awesome to have him on board and like contact me and being like, I'm well up for this, let's do it. And he helped set up this brilliant intrigue that I don't think would have been possible to maintain throughout the season without his taking part week 1. So Chase, you're a legend, love you to bits, buddy. Who else did we have? I've got like a list of people who we had on week by week. Uzi took part in week 4. What was really cool is that Uzi is another storyteller, and it was kind of his idea originally to sort of link the stories together. And whilst with some people, you know, I've said this last season, some people like to have a script to work off. With Uzi, I put together a basic script, and I was like, hey, now your input. What should we do? How is your character going to react to this? And we worked together on it, putting like drafts back and forth. And like it was his idea to be like, we want it to be serious, but let's have a bit of humor. So the kind of why is everything still black and white skit that went through all the stuff we did together, that was his thinking, and I loved it. So it was cool to have Uzi, another storyteller, to work with, to like have this back and forth where it's super serious, mafia, power struggle, but also these weird little getting your name wrong all the time and everything's black and white and we don't know why. So it was cool to work with him on that. That week we also had Mephisto because that's who we were battling. Mephisto is another storyteller. There were so many this season, it was awesome. And he's just one of the most creative dudes, and he's just throwing ideas all around, and some of them aren't going to work. At one point he was like, should we have like a car chase? I'm like, dude, I can't drive, but that would be awesome. So it was awesome to have him on board. He didn't have to do that. Like, Mephisto was moving countries at the time. So it was awesome for him to take the time to put some video stuff together. When I had the Mafia storyline, he was someone who I absolutely knew I need to have Mephisto take part. And he crushed it once again. So thank you to you guys. Uzi popped up in various little bits. Always fun to work with him. First time working with Mephisto, and loved it. It was just a ton of fun. Then we had, in week 6, we had Lynn. As I say, Lynn is someone who many of you will not know. She is another friend of mine. She helped me with team building and mocks and stuff. I played D&D with her. She's just one of my favourite people in the world. And she helped set up the little plushie scene with Greninja getting beaten up. She lent her voice, and it was awesome to have her on board. And of course, that week we had our mystery mayor. Now, that has still not been revealed. I'm not going to say who that is. Many of you have guessed. Some of you are correct. But the mayor is a person who I've wanted to have on board for some time, and this finally seemed like the right moment, and they were well up for it. There might be stuff in the future, so I'm not going to reveal who it is officially. We'll have to wait and see. But big thanks to those two for taking part. Lynn, incidentally, is someone you should check out on Twitter as well, at Agronize. She does a load of artwork. It's awesome. She's super talented. A lot of stuff in the kind of Elden Ring, Dark Souls area of art, and it's super cool, and you should check it out. So who else did we have? Week 7 was probably my favourite week to work on storyline-wise, because we had Necro, who is always up for some stuff. With his really cool voice, his really cool editing of his voice. I really enjoyed doing the kind of dream sequence and bringing back a little of the hokum creepiness just for 1 week because it was Necro, and also because it was Daria. Now, Daria, her theming this season was phenomenal, spectacular. The kind of tarot stuff was awesome, and I wanted to bring that in because I had ideas for so many people for their characters in Draft League City, and Daria was someone who I identified very early on. I knew, we'd spoken about it before, that she would like to have taken part in the storyline stuff, and I sort of then had this idea of what if in the world of Draft League City, excuse me, she's like this mystic, and she can do fortune telling. And what I didn't know at the time was that her choice of theming with tarot was not just off the top of her head. This is something that she does, and she knows a lot about. So she was able to sort of direct me with my ideas initially, and work out what theming we should bring around these tarot cards in this deck. And it was super helpful to have her on board, like, teaching me a bit more, which was awesome. And Daria is just a lovely human being, and super fun to work with. And it was amazing to have her and Necro in 1 week. It was a mad, crazy week of recording and ideas, and it was just a ton of fun to do. Then we had week 8, the match against Joey, which I was super hyped for. And Joey had said in one of his watch parties earlier on that he'd be up for doing skits and stuff. So we spoke about it. And Joey's a very busy man, and he had all these amazing ideas where he was going to have like a green screen stuff, and many of you will know that my battle against Joey was the one where he hit his sub goal and he built his team on stream with his viewers. And he had these crazy ideas of like, what if I had a green screen behind me and I was like doing the speech and saying like, oh, I've got all my friends, we're gonna make a team to work against you, and then have static and him in a cave being like, it's not me, it's my chat, they're the true villains. And it was such a cool idea. Unfortunately, he didn't have the time to make that happen, which is fair. Very busy man, but he still lent his voice to do that little speech, the voicemail speech that Detective Inspector Striker received. Quite sort of dark and threatening, which was cool, and he absolutely crushed it once again. That was also the week where I roped in Liam, Unlawful Exile, a name that many of you may not have heard in a long old time. But he was visiting for a few days while his new house was having the final touches put onto it before he could move in. So he crashed with me, and I was like, while you're here, would you want to take part in an intro? I wasn't really giving him a choice. I was going to make him do it, whatever happens. But he very kindly agreed to take part for some live action recording, which was great. Huge fan of that. I enjoyed having him on as like this kind of other DLPD character to try and talk Striker into doing something that he didn't want to do and knew he couldn't deep down. So again, it added this kind of urgency to the storyline. Having those two legends of their craft on board for the week was awesome. Week 9 was cool as well, going against my longtime rival and one of my best friends, Alex. He didn't even need prompting. He didn't even need me to message him. He was like, I'm recording something for you, I'm going to send it to you now. And again, it was awesome for him to do that because he was having all sorts of tech trouble. His computer just like combusted or something. He had nothing to go on, which is why he was unable to upload his last 2 weeks, unfortunately. But he still recorded this big thing, and again, Alex and my storyline really coincided a lot over the course of the season, and I'm sure it's something that will be explored later on. But he, again, is someone I've worked with so often, and we've always tried to incorporate our stories, and this one worked really well. And then having Necro on board as well, I messaged him really late in the day, being like, could you record this just because I want to add it in to the ending of that battle? And Necro came through once again with this super creepy recording, which I loved. That was awesome having those two back for even more recording. And then, of course, the quarterfinal. We had Gray, we had Jack. He's, again, a very close personal friend, and he's not a villainous person. You'd be hard-pressed to find just a nicer dude. So having him coming in being like, I was behind fixing it all. What are you going to do about it? That was cool. Like, when I say fixing, like fixing, obviously, we didn't fix the pickings of the playoff matchups. He was always going to pick me, I think. But we would work that into the storyline because of how things went in the last couple of weeks of regular season. So it kind of mixing fact and fiction was really cool. And Jack threw himself into that role and absolutely nailed it. So to all of those guys who helped with the watch parties, with the team building, with the intros, all of the content, thank you so much for all your help. I would not have been able to do this season without you. To all of you, the viewers, again, you are absolutely crucial to what we're able to do here. We're closing in on 1,500 subs, and as of today, when this is hopefully being uploaded in the evening, we did actually manage to get the partner stuff on YouTube going. We finally made it, which is crazy. I never thought we'd get there. So I'm trying to set that up and maybe even make a tiny amount of money from what we're doing here, which would be very cool indeed. To all the people I battled as well, I got to battle some people for the first time this season. Vepsis, Mountay, who else did I get to battle for? I think those might have been the only two who I haven't mentioned already who I battled for the first time. Joey, obviously, I battled for the first time too. Iron Boffin, I'd never battled before. I'm gonna actually, you know what? Let's load up the sheet. Let's see. We're very professional here. So I'm just gonna load up and see who I battled for the first time. So yeah, Iron Boffin I've never battled before. Vepsis I've never got to battle before. Ellie I battled just constantly. Mountay, Mephisto, Chase, and Joey. All these people I'd never got the chance to battle. People who I've been either long-time friends of or long-time admirers of their content and their work. It was so cool to get to battle them. There are people who are still on my bucket list who I haven't got to battle yet. Like I'd have loved to be able to battle people in the other division, and Daria. One day it'll happen, Daria. We've been in like 5 leagues together and we've never got to battle. But one day it will happen. So that is pretty much everyone I've got to thank. If I've left anyone out, I'm so sorry. I think I've got everyone. Everyone in the league, anyone who I haven't mentioned who's been in the league. I watched all of your content. It's always been such good fun. And it's been a pleasure to be a part of with you lot. So, what happens next? Well, things are moving quite quickly. There are still answers to be gained in Draft League City, and now that no one's really sat in charge, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that Draft League City is in anarchy and chaos. There are leagues popping up all over the place. It is a free-for-all, and our next one starts very, very soon. We have been invited to be part of the major battle circuit, the MBC, in their second season. We're going to be in that, which is very cool, as my radiator is making a lot of noise. I had the plumber in today. But yes, we're going to be in MBC Season 2. The first week of that actually goes up on, I believe it is, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, the 17th. That is when the first battle goes up. Things are moving quickly. What is to become of Draft League City now that there is no figure of authority? The champion, spoiler alert because the season's over, Uzi, congratulations my brother, has taken his championship, and much like last season's champion, has gone. Is not doing Draft League for a bit. What is going to be happening? There are so many things that could be happening in Draft League City. I hope that you'll all stick around to find out what that means for our story. But that is going to be it from me. I have rambled on for far too long. So, with that being said, I hope you stick around to look forward to the next season of Draft League content, and I'm going to get on out of here. So my final thank you to you all for watching, and I guess with that, I will see you next time. Laters.